June 22nd, 2023 Planning Board Public Session. I'd like to call to order, and in the absence of the secretary, I'll call the roll. Chair LaFaro is here. Vice Chair Finnerty is here on Zoom. Gloria Burke, secretary, is absent. Craig Contalanato is absent. George Mutu.
Present.
Tom Neely.
Present.
Kate Fulham.
Present.
We have a quorum. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a note on procedure. In case of an emergency, exit either of those rear doors, down the stairs through the front door. That is the plan. And do I have sign-in sheets, Jeff, for people who are speaking?
It's up there at the corner.
Yeah,
Can I have
There was
it?
nobody out front.
As of 5
No,
minutes ago.
I put it up there for them to sign in.
So no one signed in
They just
prior?
left in the
No,
door.
no
Okay.
sheets. Okay.
All right, so because we don't have a pre-signed-in sheet, I'm going to ask for whoever wants to speak, and each person can go up, give us your name, your affiliation, and fill out the form.
Is that prior to each category, so we wait for our category to come up? before we do
Yes,
that?
yes, whatever application. We're going to start with number 1, which is 917 West Main. Do we have notice, council?
Yes, Madam Chair.
We have notice, and so we'll read it into the record.
Do that. Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan special exception application entitled 917 West Main LLC. The site plan special exception application is for the construction of a 6,000 square foot building and associated parking for special trade contractor uses on a 50,786 square foot parcel located within the LI 40 zoning district, Hamlet of Speonk, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-353-1-24.7.
Okay. Who is here to represent the application for 917?
Jeff, you're blank.
Okay, if you could just clear the podium, you can sign that in when you... And if you would just hand that to me. Thank you, Kate.
They might have just been signing it randomly, I'm not sure.
Is that working? Thanks, Kate. Okay, so please give us an overview of the application.
Sure. My name is Andrew Graham, the applicant on the application.
Can you just speak up? This is not
Amplified.
an amplified mic. It's only for the TV.
Okay,
So just speak as loud as you can.
sure. So my name is Andrew Graham, I'm the applicant on the application. It's a 6,000 square foot warehouse, 4 bays. Basically a big open room with a bathroom in it. We have, we've gone for the pre-submission, and we did our best to address the comments that were referred to us from the pre-submission hearing. And we also went for a variance as well for the positioning of the building on the lot for the 20-foot rear yard setback. It's a special exception, special use trade contractor, or special trade contractor, and there's a number of other lots in this industrial park with special trade contractors, as well as other special exception uses such as repair garage. Yeah, we're open to questions from the board. I think we've done our best to address the pre-submission comments and any other concerns that were raised.
So your entrance is off Windermere?
Yes.
Can you show the aerial, Jeff?
That's a special trade contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the parking meets all of the requirements? I know parking has been an issue on that street.
Yeah, it's tight in there, but we needed 21 spots total, and that's what we have with the, some of the parking comes from the bays within the building, but it's our understanding that's permitted, so we are meeting the parking requirements.
How many bays do you have?
I'll double check before
I think you said 4?
I believe I said 4. It is 4, or 3 bays rather, sorry about that.
3 bays, so that's 3 parking spaces, right?
I believe we got more than 3 as a result of the depth of the bays. I'll double check on the survey. Yeah, so we got 4 interior stalls, so,
4.
yeah.
And then you can accommodate the balance of the parking on the site.
Yes. There's a small area for outdoor storage as well.
Outdoor storage.
Mhm.
Jeff, can you switch back to the site plan, please?
What outdoor storage are you contemplating?
It's, if you're looking at the site plan, you see the corner with, beyond the natural buffer, just across from the building, it's that small area. Just across from the building, up against the buffer there.
Okay, I mean, if it's anything like lumber or gardening, there's no outdoor display allowed, no outdoor storage, so
Display or?
be aware of that, outdoor storage.
Okay. Okay.
What
So
type
when-
of items would it be?
So they're a tent company, so they store some lumber for their tents. It's they do large condition tents for events and things of that nature, so.
Okay, so there is an outdoor store,
Yeah, so it was actually in the pre-submission comments that we, that it was requested of us, just because of the nature of these special trade contractor buildings, they wanted it in a confined area rather than it not being addressed now and being an issue later.
well, we'll discuss it when we get the site plan, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Dennis, any question? Anyone from the public would like to address this? This is just special exception site plan, this is not pre-submission. Okay, so a 10-day written comment period. George,
Sure.
second by
I'll second.
Kate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5 in favor, 2 absent.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
The second is Blessing Fields.
Kate,
Orders proper notice, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you.
Kate,
And
you got
Kate,
it.
you're
Top
reading
one.
it?
Yeah,
the top one.
I'll try it like that.
Can you see it?
This one
That's it,
here.
please take notice.
Okay. Please take notice that in accordance with local law 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing to consider the site plan special exception application entitled Blessing Fields LLC. The site plan special exception application proposes construction of one 2-story, 2,180 square foot to be utilized for 2 offices uses and one 2-story, 4,000 square foot building to be utilized for 2 special trade contractor uses with associated parking and cross-access along the southern portion of the property, serving the properties to the east and west, all on a 49,554 square foot parcel located within the HB zoning district at 163 West Montauk Highway, Hamlet of Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-222-1-12.
It's all yours. Give us an overview, please.
Michael Shiano from Intertide Improvement Associates on behalf of the applicant. I also have Wayne Bruin here, the counsel for the applicant in the audience, as well as Sabrina Kelly from my office. So I know we have everything up there, but just to kind of point around what's proposed here, just give me one second. So this property, located at 163 West Montauk Highway, it has a lot area of 49,554 square feet in the Highway Business Zoning District. The existing property, this is the proposed conditions area, but the existing property has a single one-story frame building located in the front of the site, and a two-story garage with some concrete pads and trailers around the site. That's the existing one-story building.
Do we have that plan up?
This is next to McDonald's?
The applicant proposes to demolish the existing structures and redevelop the site with two buildings. One has a footprint of 2,180 square feet. That's which is going to be located towards the front of the site, which will be used as offices. And the other is a building with a 4,000 square foot footprint for special trade contractor use and garage bays for the special trade contractors. The office building will have a total GFA of about 5,160 square feet of actual finished space. Then the interior will also consist of 160 square feet of storage, 85 square feet of mechanical space, and 935 feet of unfinished space. The special trade contractor building will have a 4,000 square foot first floor and 2,000 square feet of loft area above that. The applicant proposes to install dry wells on the site where there's no current drainage available. And a new septic system is proposed, new water service and gas service is proposed. Currently, the site plan shows 54 parking spaces and 3 handicap spaces. This particular site abuts the Highway Business Zoning District, abuts the R20 district. The district line runs through the railroad property to the south. As a result, we have a proposed transitional yard of about 1,276 square feet. We also are proposing a 20-foot wide cross-access easement along with a 13-foot wide proposed road expansion, which is in connection with the recommendations from the 2010 Hampton Bays Corridor Strategic Plan, which was a proposal to included recommendations to extend Good Ground Road. So that was part of one of the recommendations that was included in the pre-submission conference report. Just to remind the board, because this was a while ago, the application had come before this board as a pre-submission conference in July, on July 9th of 2020, and your pre-submission report was issued on August 27th, 2020, and then it was later revised, I think with some corrections and some additional details on November 12th, 2020. Then this application went to the Zoning Board of Appeals after all of the stuff that was going on in 2020 and 2021. We had an application for the ZBA submitted on January 31st, 2022. There were a number of public hearings associated with that just to kind of work through things with both the zoning board, and there were questions that came up with the planning board and kind of the design of these buildings. From the original design, some of the buildings were moved slightly away from the western property line and made a little bit smaller in order to reduce the amount of pyramid compliance that was necessary. So because the lot is so narrow, at the end of the day, we did wind up getting a zoning variance on September 15th, 2022 for 2,996 cubic feet for the front building, and it sounds like a lot. However, because of the long narrow nature of this building, the rear building required 12,000 cubic feet of variance, but it's kind of in kind, in like in kind to what Riverhead Building Supply has next door, and also the fact that it's in a highway business zone. So in narrow lots like this, that kind of pyramid is kind of seen in a lot of different properties and locations in this area.
Excuse me, can you tell us the variances that you got?
Oh, yes, one was for, it was all for pyramid compliance. For the front building, we got 2,996 cubic feet of pyramid relief. Yes, it's right up there, I'm sorry. And then for the building to the rear, the special trade contractor, next page, there we go. It was 12,000 cubic feet of pyramid.
So it was just pyramid relief.
It was just pyramid relief, correct. As part of the discussion in between, before the zoning board made their decision, this matter came before you and also the architectural review board to discuss kind of the look of the building, to make sure that it was a little bit more residential in appeal, and so that you could also review it in terms of seeker. And a seeker neg deck was issued on August 11th, 2022. One of the main changes that was made was originally the architectural style of the front of this building was a little bit more commercial and industrial, and we added some of these kind of residential elements in the front to make it look a little bit more appealing from the street. And you can also see that there's still going to be a good amount of screening on that's the northwest side on these two renderings on the left side there. Our health department application is still pending. We initially had submitted an application in 2020, at the end of 2020, and we haven't resubmitted back to them because they didn't have an issue with anything that was proposed. They were just kind of waiting for the secret determination, zoning board, and planning board decision before moving forward. So once we work through stuff with this board, we will resubmit those plans back to them. We are currently working we know that there were a number of comments from the fire marshal and the town engineer about details of access from the street and other details about the site. We're working through those and we'll have some of those decisions, some of those changes back before the next work session. Note that all of the adjacent properties are either commercially developed, except for the rear side, which is the Long Island Railroad, and we'll be making sure to screen the southern part of the property so that we're not going to disturb the residential neighborhood to the south. I'm here to answer any questions.
Jackie, is my audio
Yeah.
on?
Yes, it is.
Okay, one of the unique attributes of this site is that if you can go to the aerial, Jeff, it's perfectly aligned with the signalization of the Macy's Shopping Center. So a key component here is that there's the cross access to allow vehicles to utilize that signalization. I don't know, Jeff, do you have the ability to get the aerial back up
Yeah.
or not?
He has it up.
It's up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's completely aligned with the
With the signal.
Entrance of the Macy's Shopping Center. So Mike, could you maybe expand on the cross access in the back, specifically to the Riverhead building site directly west of the site?
Yeah, we have a proposed cross-access easement in I do not believe that cross-access, Riverhead Building Supply was improved before the planning board started to really require that on kind of a wholesale basis. However, we are proposing it if/when the town activates the need for cross-access, so that it will be easier for people to access these commercial and these commercial sites in the future.
Okay, so essentially, Riverhead Building Supply, their lumber trucks, which many of us have seen on the road, they're large. We envision going through the cross access to the rear of this site, then exiting your site in order to make a left-hand turn, a westbound turn onto Montauk Highway. Is your intersection at Montauk Highway sufficient to accommodate one of these large lumber trucks and along with a vehicle maybe trying to enter the site? Is there a wide enough radius?
It's a good question. We'll note it. We are looking at it from the ability for emergency vehicles and fire trucks to be able to turn around and access, to turn around in the rear part of this property. So in order to accommodate those for left and right turns out of the site, I believe that it's probably going to be also able to accommodate those such trucks, but it's something that we'll look into as part of the discussion during the work session.
Well, the right-hand turns are going to be made directly from the RBS site heading east. I'm more concerned about
Left
when they have
turns.
deliveries to the west, it's impossible to make a left-hand turn out of that RBS site.
Mhm.
I have firsthand knowledge of that, so you really want to look at that intersection, make sure that there's a wide enough flare to allow, a left-hand turn for a large lumber truck to head west. And also, of course, we have to think about access to the east. There again, to utilize that intersection,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
signal.
Mhm. Do you have, just to quantify what you mean by large lumber truck, do you have an idea about how many axles or how large such a truck is? Or, I mean, it's something we can definitely look into, but,
Tractor, you should figure a tractor trailer.
okay, understood. I know that we have to work with the Suffolk County DPW to make sure that access is properly designed, so we'll make sure to include that in the discussion as well.
Because would you have to amend the signalization to activate when you're coming out of your driveway as well?
It's possible. I know that it is signalized, so and I think that during business hours, it does turn red and green, and then during non-business hours, I think it's just a flashing red light on our side.
Okay.
But potentially, we would have to change it. But I think that is something that will come up during the discussion with the DPW.
What business operates out of there currently?
It is Cruz Brothers Construction and a investment company called Unifam, which they're kind of brother/sister organizations. The Cruz Brothers Construction is a local organization that they do development on here and construction, but also they work in conjunction with their investment company to buy properties and develop. And they're kind of like a nice up-and-coming construction business that's trying to make a name for themselves out here.
Mhm.
So, so there's going to be additional office usage in the office that they haven't kind of said what is going to go in there right now, but at least 2 of the spaces will be used for Cruz Brothers Construction and Unifam.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Is there anyone from the audience who'd like to speak? Yes, please. Give us your name for the record.
John Burnson, Quag Sinclair Fuels, the immediate neighbor to the east. And I just want to know about this cross-access, if this affects us. And in case you're unaware, our site has 2 40,000-gallon underground propane tanks that we don't want people driving in or near. So it's really just a safety concern, and are they planning to encroach in our direction at all?
We'd take that into consideration in terms of mapping it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm here about another issue, but in hearing this and looking at the site.
Ma'am,
my
your
name is
name?
Robin Foreman. I know that on that corner, when the sun is hitting it coming down, there have been many, many, many accidents because of the sun glare just at that intersection. And you're talking about very large vehicles accessing and coming in and out, and I just want you to take that into consideration.
Thank you. Sun glare at the intersection, okay. Hearing no more comments, we're going to close with a 10-day written comment period. Motion by George.
Anybody in Zoom?
Second.
You're not working with Zoom?
Is there anyone on Zoom?
No, on Zoom.
No,
Highly unlikely, but
okay.
the next
So-
one we might.
Yes, I know that. George, motion by George,
I'll
second
second.
by Kate. All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed,
Can I borrow-
abstentions? 5 in favor,
Thank you.
2 absent. Thank you. Okay, the next and last is East Quogue Mobile Home Park. Sufficient notice?
Yes, Madam
We
Chair.
we have no sufficient notice.
Hi.
We'll read it into the record.
Please take notice that in accordance with local law number 14 of 2022, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, 116 Hampton Road, Southampton, and via video conferencing, to consider the site plan special exception application entitled East Quogue Mobile Home Park. I was reading the wrong one just now. The site plan application is for the relocation of the mobile home units, no increase in density, from the property, lot number 9, south of the railroad tracks to north of the railroad tracks onto lot number 3, with access from Malloy Drive West, located on 2 parcels totaling 94.2 acres, located in the Central Pine Barrens Compatible Growth Area and Aquifer Protection Overlay District at 58 Old Country Road, Hamlet of East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-289-2-9 and 251-1-3.
All set?
Yeah, can we get
Map.
can you flip it vertically or not?
The word may be for specific.
Yes. John, go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Please.
Good evening. My name is John Bennett, Bennett and Reed, 212 Windmill Lane, Southampton, New York. And with me tonight is Tom Wolpert, who's from Young & Young, a venerable firm from Riverhead, and Richard Friedman, who's one of the principals, and also Brian Daly, who's an in-house counsel at Mr. Friedman's organization. I'll be relatively brief because this is a public hearing under planning board provisions, and the purpose is to have the public have an opportunity to comment, so I'll be quite brief. What is involved here is the exchange or swapping out of 21 manufactured mobile homes in the area south of the railroad tracks, where there are currently 42 homes in this facility, and taking those 21 units larger and making them larger and placing them in a more northerly part of the property. So we'd be swapping out in kind 21 units with newer mobile homes that are more substantial in construction, meet current building health and safety codes. And here's the really significant thing, hooking those 21 units up, all 21 of them, to a new IA, or innovative wastewater system. There's a zoning board of appeals decision, which this was referred to you for comment, but there is a ZBA decision dated May 19th, 2022, which, in addition to noting the environmental benefits of this, including the alternative on-site wastewater treatment system, whereby the existing non-conforming septic systems would be abandoned, noted that and made a determination that there's not an increase in the degree of any sort of non-conformity, because the town has always treated mobile home units, regardless of their size, in a fungible nature. So that's a determination that's been made and unchallenged. There have been comments from the engineer, and Mr. Wolpert has given an extensive response dated May 16th. Unless there are any specific questions about that, those are things that I don't have any further comments about it. Very straightforward application, vetted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Got a favorable decision. The Health Department is very happy that we're going to hook these homes up to a IA system, and we think net from an environmental point of view, from a health, safety, and welfare point of view, you're going to have, as a result of the modifications, much more much safer units that are much more in conformance with modern and current safety standards. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions of John, or should we go right to the public hearing? I think we have quite a few people.
Do we see any area left this? If you have one handy.
I'm only seeing a small portion of it. I think it's better if you look at what's on the wall and you see where the units are being transferred to. See the 21 units, swapping out from the south area going into the north area. So that they'll be exchanged in
Okay.
kind,
So
but
it's been read.
this is a much better illustration of it.
Right, and then there's the issue of that connector road coming out here. Is that Gleason Road? Down, no, the little connector road between, no, go up. That, right there. So that's right above a town-owned property.
That's a paper road.
Paper road, right.
It is a road.
It is a road.
It is a
So,
Yeah, it's a road under the state code.
some of the thinking would be to move it down, if possible, into the town-owned, so that one could put a 30-foot buffer, and just keep it a small road. I discussed this with Claire today.
This is Malloy.
No, that
We're
connector,
showing that as only as emergency access.
right. Okay,
This is Gleason here.
yeah,
Well, that's stuff you work out.
we'll work out on the site plan. Okay, so I only have 4 people here because we didn't have the sign-in sheet.
Can you repeat that? Because it sounds like the people that are sitting in the audience would be very interested to exactly what you're saying that you'll talk about later.
Yeah, there's a proposed, coming out of the mobile park, an additional access road or egress road. And it's through that, where the star is. And that is a paper road, but the thought would be to put a very heavy buffer, like a 30-foot buffer backing up to that property, which also has a 30-foot buffer, so that it would just be a simple road to come out so that you had a separate exit. And I think coming out onto Gleason, just the lower portion with no right-hand turn at all, so that cars could not go north through that existing subdivision. That's what we meant. Okay, so I have only 4 names. I'll call these, and then whoever else would like to speak will add to the list. So Mark Gregory, I have down here first.
Hi,
Yes,
how you doing?
please.
So good evening, my name is Mark Gregory, I'm a resident of Gleason Drive, 6 Gleason Drive, and just like to point out, most of the homeowners in our neighborhood weren't even notified of this until the last day, and that was because I went around to 30 homes and dropped letters in mailboxes. Maybe 3 or 4 other people that, from our neighborhood, actually received a letter from Bennett explaining what was going on. Being an original homeowner, the entrance that we have on Gleason Drive, that's our entrance. When our homes were being built, the mobile home park was approached about it being a unified entrance. They adamantly opposed us and called us a burden. We had to pay for our own crossing at a cost of $300,000, so $10,000 per homeowner.
Crossing for the,
Yes, ma'am.
The
The
railroad?
Gleason Drive crossing was paid for by every homeowner. So one of my thoughts is, if this is gonna go through, is the East Quogue Mobile Home Park going to compensate me, my $10,000 plus, for the 28 years that I've lived there? We should all be entitled to interest on that money. That's my crossing.
okay.
Can you
that's one-
provide documentation into the record for that, so that we have that on file?
I'm sure we can, or through the
Okay.
Long Island Housing Partnership actually managed our
Okay.
program. We were the original Southampton Town Affordable Housing Program. So I'm sure the town office
Okay.
has proof of that.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
So that was one point that I had there about the compensation. The other thing is, this is a private organization, and we're bending the rules. Our road hasn't been maintained in probably 15 years, and that's with 30 homes.
is that a town road?
That is a town road. The road is in decent need of repair. Add on an additional 60 homes. 2 cars per household traveling down that road. Think of the wear and tear that's gonna be on that road. Gleason Drive has been pointed out before. I'm a fire chief in town as well as Mr. Bullock. We've had several accidents. It's on a tight turn there. The mobile home park right now is about 400 to 500 feet up. Their turning in and out of that park is a little safer than the turns that we make onto Gleason Drive. So I think if you're gonna look into this, a traffic study has to be done, because as you head east on Old Country Road, if you hit your brakes and you try to make that turn, you've gotta wonder about who's coming up behind you. So I definitely think that's a concern.
Good, good suggestion.
The fire district secretary gave me this just to give to you. She said she believed that it got in the mail, but that was the recommendations from the fire district. They're talking, there's only one fire hydrant right now that serves that area. That's because everything was close
Jeff.
to Old Country Road. If you go back deep into the woods, which now gets closer to the Pine Barrens, the fire district's recommendation was 9 hydrants in that area. Who's paying for these 9 hydrants? Like, most of my neighbors here, they didn't have a clue that fire hydrants are taken out of your fire taxes. I have no problem paying fire tax on my neighbors that are contributing to Southampton Towns. This is a private group. East Quogue Mobile Home Park is a private group making money off the people that are living there. Why am I paying for their road to be put in? Why am I paying for their fire hydrants and their fire hydrants to be maintained? That's a question that I have. If you go through the East Quogue Mobile Home Park, they have speed bumps all over it. Southampton Town, we don't allow speed bumps. So obviously it tells me there's gotta be an issue with speed in that area. So now I'm supposed to absorb this problem, and the kids that we have, additional traffic coming through. If you're putting in double wides, you're putting in families. Is the East Quogue School prepared for the burden that they're gonna be undertaking? Has anybody said anything to East Quogue School yet about the burden that they're gonna be taking? I think before this project goes any further, we really need to think about this. Thank you.
Can you
Thank you.
submit your comments to us in writing? Okay,
You got
just
that.
give them to Jeff.
Jeff.
Great, thank you. I have Al Diaz. Al Diaz. Yes,
Why
please.
didn't they just continue using Oak Street to come out, come on top of
Al Diaz, also a neighbor up in
Just curious.
8 Corbett Court.
We were not here.
Mike, I think you've asked most of the questions, but I have one question. The setback from on the side of Corbett Court, the setback as it relates to the forest area that's gonna be between the deer fences that we have in our homes and the development that is being proposed. We're not sure how many feet are there, and my understanding was that originally, when they did that on the Gleason side, there was about a 50-foot setback on that, and I would propose that it be considered that the setback be something akin to that on the Corbett side of the situation.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Pat Ruger?
Pat Rigger from 2 Corbett Court, okay. My question was the same thing. I'm an original homeowner. When they first put in the development, it was stated that they had to have a 50-foot buffer between the homes in the front on Gleason Drive and the mobile home parcel to make a separation between the two. And all of Southampton Town has a lot of natural buffer vegetation. The corner lots is supposed to be common ground. But yet I do not see on this plan any setback that says that there's gonna be a 50-foot natural buffer there. So that is my concern, is that if it's been set in the future or in the original setback, that there was a 50-foot buffer.
50-foot buffer.
Why are we not having a 50-foot buffer stated there? It doesn't show any buffer, it just shows some plants, but it doesn't say how many feet, and it doesn't look like it's the 50 feet. Because if you look at the Malloy Drive, where they also propose, it looks like an emergency entrance into that development, which means that, are they putting a street in there? Or is it just, because if you look at that diagram, it says emergency access. So what kind of emergency access are they putting? Is it a paved road? Are they gonna take down more trees to put another paved road? And is there a 50-foot buffer that's gonna be behind all the homes that are going down Corbett, which was the same that was given to the
To
front
you.
houses,
Right.
okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Nicholas DeBari.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Nicholas DeBarry, 11 Gleason Drive, East Quad. I'm one of the homeowners who did not receive the certified letter. I only found out about this meeting about 24 hours ago. So I would have liked to prepare more with more documents and stuff, but I was unable to do that. Improvements to the mobile home park, I'm all for it, but I don't like the improvements to affect the homeowners on Gleason and Corbett. One of the proposed improvements is to open up an entrance to the mobile home park utilizing Malloy Drive, which sits between Corbett and Gleason. I'm one of the original homeowners, 28 years. When the development was first being constructed, before the road was put in, the mobile home park was approached by the town and the builders as to utilize one railroad crossing, using the one that was utilized by the mobile home park. Going back to Gleason on that map, the survey, that road with the star that you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier,
Mhm.
I don't know why they're calling it emergency egress. That was the original plan to utilize the mobile home crossing. And then, so it would only be one entrance, and then we would come in to the left and go up Gleason. So I don't know.
I think the area
was
might
that-
be best, yeah.
No, it's not gonna show on there.
No?
But that road, which was on the survey,
Oh, the one
that
in the
road was
north?
never developed, so that's the
The
purpose.
one in the north.
No, this
When
right.
you-
This one, the little one, yeah.
All right, where that, I can't see from this distance. All right, yes, right there where you go.
Right
So
there.
that was the original proposed layout of the road.
Yeah,
We would enter using
Oak Street?
Oak Street, make the left,
and
go over the
then-
one crossing. That's why that road is there, and then we would come up. The owners of the mobile home park at the time refused that offer, so we were approached saying, we have to go to Plan B, we have to put a new crossing in, and it's gonna cost each homeowner $10,000 for the crossing. If we, you know, that's how they got the money to do it from
yeah,
us.
yeah.
So, again, I am opposed to the new entrance on Malloy to enter and exit the mobile home park. I'm thinking maybe there's roughly 100 homes in the mobile home park, and you add a car or two to each one of those, and that's gonna increase our traffic by 100 cars a day in and out.
Is that Malloy there, Jeff?
That's Malloy there, yes.
So, right there, there's a proposed new entrance to utilize. And I'm not sure what they're doing with the the entrances on Old Country Road. They're gonna shut them down or do away with them and only make the one entrance off Malloy?
Okay, we're gonna find all that out.
Well,
But that's, the history is
just about,
important.
I speak for all the homeowners, we're all opposed, we don't want the increased traffic.
Yeah,
You know, we got the pleasure of few cars going in and out. Don't have to worry about speeding vehicles, you know, kids play on the road. There's a second generation of young kids in new families growing up, and they're gonna wanna ride their bikes, just like my kids did when they were growing up, and not have to worry about 100 cars coming in and out.
okay, thank you.
So, I hope that the members of the board deny that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I don't have any, who else would like to speak here? Let me get a few names down. Your name?
My name is Tony Peterson. Do I have to stand? Because it's a little tough.
I can bring the mic to you, I
Oh,
think.
no, I got a big mouth.
No,
You
no,
can
they-
hear me.
It's a
He said the
recording,
mic doesn't work.
it's a recording equipment.
The mic doesn't move.
It doesn't move.
I can move it.
Do you want to come up to the table?
No,
Well, they have to hear me too.
Can I just undo the Velcro for her?
Here, I'll help you here. Give me it, I'll sit on the chair. Oh, good. Jimmy, grab that chair. Wow. Oh, I deserve that.
okay,
Right
Tony,
here?
I'll hold it for you. How's that?
Okay, so, I'm selling my son's home. He was killed in a hit and run last year, and, his home is, 20 Cedar Street in the front of the mobile home park. All right, now, I'm selling to just this gentleman. The sale, this is gonna depend on whether the sale goes through or not. I don't know if his home is one of them that's supposed to be moved to the back. I'm not getting any answers from Garden Homes. I don't know who's representing Garden Homes here, but I'm not getting an answer. What I am getting it, we don't know what we're going to do, we don't know when it's going to happen. So my question to them was, what happens if you don't want to move your home? Or if your home is too old? His home is 23 years old. So is that able to be moved to the back? And what about his neighbors that are directly around him? They're much older mobile homes. Will they be able to be moved to the back? Or are they going to say, no, sorry, they're condemned, or whatever the case may be, which is going to affect the whole area? Secondly, from Garden Homes, which I printed out if you would like it, says if the owner of the home, this is from Carol Giordano, that's Garden Homes Management. If the owner of the home does not want to move, then it will stay where it is. No tenant will be forced to do anything. So according to what it says here, you're going to move them regardless. And that's not what Garden Homes is telling us. So where do we stand? Is my sale going to fall through? Because they are, and who's going to, they said they're going to take care of all the expenses of moving these mobile homes. So if they move it and if the home is damaged, are they going to repair it? My son's is a double wide. So they have to split it. Then they have to put it back together.
you're on the lower portion, right? Yeah.
So he's only, my son's home was only the second one in.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
you're talking right there, right on
Yeah.
58 Old Country Road.
right.
Which
Okay.
means if that's gonna be moved back, you're talking, it could damage the home.
Yeah.
And they're stating that if it doesn't have to be moved, it doesn't, if you wanna move it, fine. Are they going to pick up every expense if they damage these homes and the older homes? What's gonna happen with them?
What is the name of the Garden Homes Management person?
I'll give it to you. You can keep it. Carol Giordano. C-A-R-Y-L. You can take them all. This is our conversations back and forth, all the questions I've asked. And, 'cause everything is contingent upon the answers to these questions.
Sure.
Now, I
Understood.
can't keep this, I have to settle the estate. So I don't know when I'm gonna get an answer of this, but we'd like to go to closing. How do we get answers? Are you gonna be able to provide us with one? We wanted to close in July.
Well,
But-
let's see, maybe we can get some information from the applicant.
I hope so, and you can keep all these, and,
We have no
yeah,
control over that.
there's a,
No.
like I said, across from my son's house, there's a very old mobile home on the other side, on
Right.
both sides. So if they're telling you they don't have to move, how are they going to do what they wanna do here if people decide, oh, well, it's too old to move? They can't say, okay, we're gonna relocate a house, if they can't, and then what are they gonna do? Say, well, we'll give you a little bit of money and you can buy a new mobile home to move it to the back?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know about that
No, but I
aspect
mean,
of them,
Garden
but-
Home should
but
be
your
here
point-
answering these questions.
but your
These are
point is
important
well taken.
questions.
Yeah.
Because if they're gonna tell you, if your home is more than 20 years old, okay, which my son's home is 23 years old. If they're gonna say after 20 years old, because apparently banks won't give you a mortgage for anything over 20 years old, which means they're considering it an old mobile home. So if they're saying that, that means they might not move my son's home. Then what do I do to this man who I just sold it to? And then he has a home that he can't do what with?
Right, okay, well, let's see if we can you can get some answers somehow. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can you give me your name?
Jim Tuthill?
Jim Tuthill?
No. I live at 3 Corbett
It's a
Court.
full-time job now, okay?
And Mark made a good point about coming in to Gleason from the west to the east to make a left and traffic behind you coming, because it's a dip in the road around a blind turn. Our egress is actually on an S turn. So in addition to that, trying to make a left out of the development is very hazardous. To compound it, it seems like the school bus stop is right at the end of the road. So you have that, you have the cars for the people that are picking up their children from the bus, utilizing Gleason at the end, plus, people trying to get in and out.
Yeah.
It really is a hazard,
Looks like it needs a traffic study here.
Yes, because it's hazardous in both directions. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else? Yes, your name, please?
My name is Catherine McMunn.
Catherine
Catherine McMunn.
McMunn.
I'm at 11 Corbett Court. And, well, someone's already said it, I didn't get any notice of this meeting at all.
Can I just address that for the record? I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but
thank you.
the town code only requires that adjacent property owners receive mailed notice. So that's why the gentleman at 6 Gleason Drive, you received it. Your even number neighbors are going to have received it. But those across the street on Gleason and Corbett will not have been required to receive notice.
Okay, although I find that I understand, but clearly, the way the traffic, and I'm confused, and maybe everybody else understands this, but I don't understand the difference. If you have a road in the front by Gleason, why you also need the road from Malloy? And not any time did anyone describe why they're changing the entrance and they don't need their railroad crossing. Like, why would they have to change anything about getting into that park? And why would they have to join our neighborhood with their neighborhood? It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Maybe someone could explain it better. But I agree, children are on the road all the time. We all in the neighborhood focus very well as we drive for that reason. And the concern would be the extra traffic, especially by Malloy. It's a blind turn, actually, when you go from Gleason to Corbett, and you have to be really careful as you're making that turn around. So I can imagine it being that much more confusing in the neighborhood if you add more traffic to Malloy. And that would be my
Good.
biggest concern.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers, please?
James Natale, Gleason Drive. I'm opposed to this program because it's going to create a tremendous amount of car activity between Gleason Drive and Old Country Road. Now, where we intersect with Old Country Road, it's almost like an S curve of the road of Old Country. It's called a chicane. A chicane is two opposing curves that is in the road, okay? So each road, Old Country Road coming east and coming from the west are straight right until they get to Gleason Drive. Gleason Drive is where that turning is. So I stood there with my car and counted the seconds from the moment I saw oncoming traffic, either east or west.
On
When I
Old
saw
Country
it
Road.
On Old Country Road. When I saw those cars, I had my watch on me, I counted until the time I saw that car to when the time that car was in front of me while I'm standing on Gleason Drive. 3 seconds.
Oh, Lord.
Each direction, okay? Now, at this particular time of the year, we have foliage. We have lots of foliage, okay, which diminishes visual.
Visual.
In the wintertime, it's a little bit better, very little bit better, okay? Now, what happens with that road, because of that turn, and because of the dip in the turn, when there used to be a cop on that road for years, which we don't see anymore, handling the speeders, people come speeding down that road because of that curve. Because people with fast cars and motorcycles love that turn, because they want to go fast around that turn, all right? UPS flies down that road, FedEx flies down that road, and they don't slow down on that curve until they're in the curve. And the reason why they call it a chicane, because that's the purpose of a chicane. A chicane is to help slow down traffic. But people don't slow down until they're already in the curve of the road.
Right.
That's why we live in danger on Gleason Drive. The road should be eliminated from Old Country Road, period. There should be some other way to get on the Gleason Drive.
Yeah.
Because we fear for our lives on that corner, and we're 28 years senior now, okay? Now you're gonna have a development with young kids learning how to drive. And they're gonna come down that road, and I fear the day somebody dies on that road, because you know what happens? I'll be thinking about them and about the town board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
My name is Lucas Cedor. I'm a resident of 17 Quarter Court, which is somewhere up here. I'm not an original owner because I don't own my house, and so I would have had to have been born a little bit earlier. But I understand that many of the concerns have already been raised. Just for the record, for the exploratory meetings in the future, just a few of my own thoughts. One, when you look at the map of the entrances into the mobile home park, there are, I believe, 4 entrances from Old Country Road into the mobile home park. Of course, we on Gleason only have the one. So I guess the confusion comes not only from the actual use of the connection at Malloy Drive, of if that will be a standard connection into the mobile home park, or it will only be designated for emergency use. I think that needs to be clarified to us, to the residents. As well as if it's going to be a normal use, I would assume that there would have to be stop signs put in at Corbett and Gleason, considering now there's going to be cross traffic with Corbett and Gleason. Because now the way it works, when you're driving north or south from Old Country Road, from the end of the development toward Old Country Road, you don't have to worry about cars coming from your left or right when you're crossing Malloy Drive. Just to echo the safety concerns with the traffic, I have young nieces and nephews. My mother, who is sick and not well, takes them for walks up and down the development. And my main concern is their safety with extra vehicles coming into the development, and it just the confusion about the necessity of potentially connecting the two neighborhoods. And my concern about connecting the two neighborhoods has nothing to do with the mobile home park or its residents. My entire life of living at Corbett, I've never had an issue with a resident of the mobile home park. It just is the concern about that they are two separate neighborhoods. As was mentioned before, it seems to be some sort of homeowners association with the mobile home park. They have their own roads, and they have speed bumps. They have their own signs. Just the confusion of that they are now, our two neighborhoods are becoming connected when they were never meant to be connected, and when they are not the same. So just those are my concerns that I believe should be addressed.
Thank you. What was your last name?
Cedor, S-I-D-O-R.
Anyone else?
I just have one more question.
Come on.
Because the question that I have has to do with the new cesspool systems, okay? I understand that they're trying to upgrade the cesspool systems because the other ones are antiquated and they're not very good and stuff like that. But one of the homes in our development just recently, because they were adding on, they put the new cesspool system right on the existing property where the existing home is. So why is it that the cesspool system cannot be upgraded in the front, therefore not making people move out of their homes, but rather than allowing them to stay where they are and to improve the system itself so that the groundwater is safer and that it is a new system. I don't understand why you would have to pick up all 20 homes. Not only that, why all 20? Why not half of them? Why not only, and then be able to put the septic system up there so that the homes that exist have the newer and the more improved septic system. I mean, we are in the Pine Barrens and it is an ecological
Yeah.
question. So that's my thing. Now you're just tearing everything up and you're just gonna tear up more trees and more woods and the Pine Barrens itself, which is already ecologically sensitive, and now you're gonna do more to it.
Yeah.
So that's the only question that I have, is maybe we could look into that to see, is there a possibility to leave the residents where they are, or at least most of the residents, so that they don't all have to pick up and move, and that the people can sell their own homes to someone else and stay there and not be vacated on that, okay?
Thank you.
We have one more.
Okay.
My name's Bruce Gunderson. I live at 9 Corbett Court. A long time ago, we weren't allowed to use Oak Street as a railroad crossing, and it cost us a lot of money. And I don't think they should use our street as a railroad crossing in return. Gleason, exiting and entering Gleason, is one of the most dangerous places in this town. It's a double-blind curve from both directions. It's a chicane, yes, but, you know, for regular people, it's a double blind. You can't see the cars coming into that turn from the west, and you can't see the cars coming up from the east. Either way. So, after living there 28 years, I have to time how fast this car's coming from the left so I can make the left. Also watching that the car on the right doesn't come down.
He said
If I
3
make a-
seconds.
Oh, huh?
He timed it, he said it was 3 seconds. You got 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
So, you know, a friend of mine was
Okay.
leaving last week and almost got T-boned. There's been 5 T-bones there already. You can check that.
Well,
As well as,
accident.
it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. I don't think I've seen 1 out of 10 cars going 30. Because when I go 40, they're beeping me and passing me on a yellow, double yellow line, because I'm doing 40. There's a construction depot in Quogue. That's the shortcut to get to it. There's 47 trucks in there. Landscaping trucks, garbage trucks, all kinds of trucks. There's 47 in there, and that's the shortcut. From 7 in the morning, no, from 6 in the morning till about 9 in the morning, it's the shortcut from Sunrise to Southampton. For 3 hours, it's 50 miles, 60 miles an hour down that road. You can't get out. And at night, from 4 to 7, it's 50 miles an hour down that road. These are not people who live locally. They are going to get on the Sunrise and the LIE. That's the shortcut road. It has always been a shortcut road. And Gleason was always known as Dead Man's Curve. Because 3 people have died there in the past, longer ago. I have many friends in the trailer park. I love the trailer park. You know, it's not a question of who's rich or who's poor. That's not what this is about. They have 5 roads that enter that can use their railroad crossing to get into the trailer park. We have 1. And they don't want to use theirs, they want to use ours and connect it. All right, I'm not even going to say about how much congestion it gives. I'm not saying that topic. But I will say that you can't get through Malloy right now if there's 2 trucks. It's 2 cars maybe. If you make a little wide turn, it's an accident. You know, and there's nighttime there's no lights. And then
Not good.
I'm disabled. I want to put it on record that if I drive out of my community, that's allowed to be there, and I get injured, I want the town to remember this so that I can claim that the town was responsible as well. And also, from what I studied, behind where they're putting the 21 trailers, they own the tract of land straight back behind that. Will there be 20 more trailers added onto that in the future? and 20 more because the land goes way far back owned by that company. Behind that. Look at the tract of land and they own the whole thing.
Is that Pine Barrens, though?
It goes all the
Go
way to
back.
Sunrise
Compatible
Highway.
growth area.
It's compatible, of course.
But it's compatible, right?
So they own beyond that 20 that they're putting up now, a potential of, I looked at it and I think it's 100. If I might, you know, it's 20, 20, 20 blocks. They own all straight back. Is that gonna be considered here? Then it's hundreds, and any more cars you put entering in Gleason is a real bad danger, because I've learned how to negotiate that through living there. A friend who visited me almost got killed the other day. This is the
Yeah.
other day. All the time, it's 50 to 60 miles an hour.
Right.
3 hours a day, 2 cycles of the day,
Okay, we have it.
okay?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Yes, please.
I'm Jennifer Russo. I live on 7 Corbett Court. I agree with we paid for the railroad crossing. We were not notified of, we all should have been notified of this. Safety, if you look at that map, there's one entrance. If you want to take all the people who live in that trailer park, all the people who live in our development and use one entrance, it's not safe. The East Quogue School, I'm not sure if this is still how it goes, but when my kids were taking the bus, changed the routes because they would not allow the buses to make a left turn. That's a safety issue. When you're stopped trying to go into the development, you're looking at the cars coming and you're looking behind you because so many times people almost slam right into you. You add additional traffic, it's a safety issue. Our roads are, somebody mentioned, they should have been repaired years ago. They look terrible. And then you add all that traffic, it's not a good idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Greg King. I live at 3 Gleason Drive. Just a side note, I put that road in. I worked for the excavator that did the road for the town. And that road you're talking about, that's just beyond the recharge basin. Like Mark said, like the others said, we were gonna put that in. And the trailer park vehemently opposed it. We were gonna put it in and put a gate there, because it's common known that the railroad wants to shut one of those crossings. They want to shut the one at the trailer park, because they don't want two side by side. It's long known that they don't like at-grade crossings. That's why further down the big development that Patrick Molloy did with Rigo, they had to put a bridge.
Right.
That was the reason they did that.
Yeah, this is
Because they would
driven
not
by
allow an
them.
at-grade crossing, and he had all those lots up there, and I also did that road also. So just, from the safety standpoint.
Right, good information.
Yeah, I mean, they were so opposed to it then, but if they want to punch through now, listen, if the railroad shuts their crossing, we're powerless to that, because that's a Long Island Railroad, and that's a right-of-way, and the railroad can do what they want. But for you guys, I wouldn't impose it. If the road's already there, they use their road, and we use our road. So, that's all.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, let me get someone who hasn't spoken.
Okay.
Somebody back there? Somebody who hasn't spoken, who wants to?
I think we're good.
You? Okay, good. John, do you want to?
Usually when there are people at a public hearing, I groan and say, but I'm actually very glad that people here are
terrific.
expressing their view, particularly as it relates to the roads. We didn't propose to come in on Gleason Road. That came out of a staff report and a planning board report. If you don't want us to come in, if the community doesn't want us to come in on Gleason Road, and you feel that that's consistent with proper planning, we didn't propose it.
John, can I ask you 2 questions? We went.
Gleason Drive, excuse me, number one. And number two, I can see probably some of the confusion, because the notice talked about access from Malloy Drive west. Nothing's been proposed there but an emergency access. It's a public road. It's the sort of thing that during an emergency event, you might wanna have access there, but again, this is your script to write. We didn't propose to come in on Gleason. We proposed to use the existing road structures that are for the facility. So, these are things you have to balance. You have to say to yourself, let's be candid, these are zoning issues, these are political issues. So what you have to do is say to yourself, can we, consistent with planning, decide not to require Gleason because it'll have, perhaps a better effect. Certainly these people in the public are telling you that they don't want to have their sense of place there disturbed.
Mhm, right.
I understand it, it's very human. If you can, consistent with appropriate circulation and planning, say, use the existing road system, we're not gonna push it, we didn't propose it.
Okay.
So
It came
John,
from a staff report.
does the road which currently serves the mobile home park have crossing gates and lights?
Yes.
So both roads do?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Within,
So I mean, I feel like I didn't stir up the hornet's nest in terms of roads. Your staff report did.
right now,
I understand. And then in terms of the Malloy issue, I'll leave that up to you. It's probably not a bad idea to leave it in an
Case of
undeveloped sort of
catastrophic
way, but
event,
just
yeah.
have some crash gate there or something
Yeah.
like that during an emergency requirement to get somebody in there. But again, we're in your hands. on that.
Okay.
John, if I could ask a quick question. So, not having been on the board when this was considered, what's the impetus for moving those units? Is that where the new sanitary system is gonna go?
Excuse me?
Why is the,
There's just there's nowhere near enough room to have, the wastewater.
but so
design.
that's where the sanitary system
Yeah.
is gonna go,
Yeah.
where,
Yep.
where those 20, whatever
Mhm.
units are,
Yes,
south of the railroad tracks?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Interestingly,
And there was
the health department was very, we had proposed a plan to hook up more of them, but obviously the zoning board of appeals wanted us to keep the density the same. So the density is not changing. It's not a.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand why you were moving them until somebody mentioned the sanitary system, so that's all. And there's been no overtures really from the railroad to close that crossing that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, but, so John, the garden homes management, I mean, the question, we can't answer that question, so I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
not a
that's
planning
something
board
else.
question.
Okay, so, thank you very much, everybody who came out. I'm
Anybody
going-
on Zoom?
Oh, yes, is there anybody on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
No one on Zoom. Gonna leave it open for a 30-day written comment period because some of you didn't get notice. So send us all of your comments, the comments that you made tonight, put them in writing, get them to us, okay?
Just as a lawyer, I have to say, when you say people didn't get notice.
Yeah. No, I
All
know,
of them are
but-
legally required to get.
Yeah,
notice.
yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll talk to John about that other situation, because we don't really know that, it's not our purview.
He's the one I can speak to, he's the one who's supposed to be representing Garden Homes today.
Well, he may know something, and he may give you some guidance.
Yeah, it's interesting in terms of the public process, there was a few issues that are outside of our purview, and
Mhm.
obviously we can refer you. So in terms of Garden Home,
Yeah,
John has
you
a
can talk to
connect in
John.
with them. And then the notice issue, if
With the
you feel
town.
that additional notice beyond what the code requires is warranted, that's something to bring to the town board so that they could propose a code change.
Yep.
That's your right as a member of the public, but we are operating within the legal bounds that
Right.
are set already.
So you're lucky you had Mark, who went around and gave everybody
Mhm.
notice, okay?
And don't forget, you can always canvass your highway department of what repairs to your road.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, that road needs repair, and clearly, it's, what do you call this, S, inverted S?
Chicane.
Chicane.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna realign.
Build them on racetrack.
That's not a good
You're not gonna realign
situation.
that road. That's
Okay,
too
so
much.
we're closing with a 30-day written comment period.
Where do we send
Send it to the planning board, to the town board, yeah, okay? Thank you very much for coming. Motion for?
Motion.
Motion by George, second by Tom, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Dennis, goodbye.
6 in favor, 2 absent.
Fine.
So that's 30 days, and Jeff, is the sign-in sheet? Motion to adjourn,
Motion.
George. Second by Kate.
Sign,
All in
sign.
favor?
I think you gave me this
Aye.
as Claire.
Dick Clark gave us this. Thank you.
Thank you.